In February 2026, Cristiano Ronaldo did something no footballer in history had ever dared to do. He went on strike. Not in England, not in Spain, not against some struggling mid-table club desperate for his services. He went on strike in Saudi Arabia, against one of the most powerful sporting organizations on the planet, backed by a sovereign wealth fund controlling over $700 billion of the world's money. He refused to show up. He disappeared from matchday squads. He let the world watch and wait. And here is what the world expected to happen. Al Nassr would flex its muscle, remind Ronaldo of his place, and make an example out of one of the most famous human beings alive. But that is not what happened, because the truth that no mainstream sports channel will sit down and explain properly, is that Al Nassr is trapped. They built their entire empire on the back of one man. His name is on their jerseys. His face is in their sponsorship decks. His Instagram followers are the only reason half the world even knows this club exists. And the day Cristiano Ronaldo walks out of Riyadh for the last time, everything crumbles. Today, we break it all down. The numbers, the contracts, the power games, the business empire hiding behind a football shirt. This is why Al Nassr can never ever let Ronaldo go.
Parte Cristiano!
Let's start with the events of early 2026, because the headlines didn't tell the full story. The Portuguese outlet A Bola broke the news first. Ronaldo was not just unhappy with a transfer decision or a training scheduling conflict. He was furious at the structure of the entire Saudi Pro League, and specifically at the way PIF, the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, was managing the clubs it owns. PIF doesn't just own Al Nassr, it owns Al Hilal, Al Ittihad, and Al Ahly, four of the biggest clubs in Saudi Arabia, all controlled by the same government entity. And Ronaldo's complaint was specific. Al Hilal was being given preferential treatment in the transfer market, while Al Nassr was being left behind. While rival clubs were signing world-class players, Al Nassr's only addition in the winter transfer window of 2026 was a 21-year-old Iraqi midfielder named Haider Abdulkarim. Now, there is nothing wrong with that signing, but this was supposed to be a title-challenging club with the most expensive player in the history of football on their books, and that was all they had to show for the winter window. But the frustration ran deeper than just one signing. Two of Ronaldo's most trusted allies inside the club, Simão Coutinho, the sporting director, and José Semedo, the CEO, both Portuguese, had their powers frozen overnight by the board of directors. Men he had worked with, men he trusted to help shape the club's direction, suddenly neutralized. His inner circle dismantled without warning. And then came the Benzema reports. Turkish media claimed that Al Hilal, Al Nassr's most bitter rival, were about to sign Karim Benzema, Ronaldo's former Real Madrid teammate, from Al Ittihad. Ronaldo didn't just watch silently. He came out publicly opposing the move, arguing it would damage competitive fairness in the league. Let that register for a moment. A football player trying to block a rival club's transfer deal. Not from a boardroom, not through a press release from an agent. From his own position as a player. That is not a man throwing a tantrum. That is a man who understands exactly how much power he holds, and was not afraid to use it. The Saudi Pro League responded. A spokesperson issued a statement to the BBC warning that no individual, however significant, determines decisions beyond their own club. But here's the thing about warnings given to men who own 20% of the club they play for. Nobody actually enforced anything. Ronaldo returned. He scored twice in a 4-0 win over Al Hazem. Al Nassr went back to the top of the table. The strike was over, and Ronaldo got exactly what he wanted. Global attention, a reminder of his leverage, and a club reminded of who truly holds the power. To understand why Al Nassr cannot let Ronaldo go, you have to go back to a single moment. December 30th, 2022. That was the day Al Nassr posted the announcement of Cristiano Ronaldo's signing. A single Instagram post. It received 33.6 million likes, making it the 8th most liked post in the entire history of Instagram at that time. And in the 4 days that followed, Al Nassr's Instagram following went from 860,000 to over 7.3 million, a growth of 737% in less than a week. Their Twitter account jumped 345% in the same period. Before Ronaldo arrived, Al Nassr was a club with less than 1 million Instagram followers. Afterwards, they had more followers than every English Premier League club outside the traditional Big Six. Think about that. A club from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, suddenly had a bigger social media presence than Tottenham Hotspur, Arsenal, and Everton. But the growth didn't stop there. By the time Ronaldo had completed his first full season, the club's online kit sales had increased by 300%. And by the 2024-25 season, Al Nassr sold over 1.2 million jerseys worldwide, putting them inside the top 10 shirt-selling clubs on the entire planet. A study by Euromerica's Sport Marketing attributed this achievement directly and entirely to Ronaldo's influence. Before he arrived, Al Nassr had limited commercial visibility outside the Middle East. His name turned their shirt into something people in Brazil, Indonesia, Nigeria, and South Korea were buying. And the attendance figures confirmed it too. An academic study published in 2025 found that when Ronaldo played at home, Al Nassr filled an additional 20% of seats. When he played away, the opposing club filled an additional 15%. When he did not even play, just the prospect of him appearing added 3% to stadium capacities across the league. One man, moving the numbers everywhere he went. Now let's talk about the money, because this is where the story becomes something truly extraordinary. Ronaldo's 2025 contract extension with Al Nassr is worth up to $676 million over 2 years. His base salary works out to $670,000 per day, every single day. Sleeping, waking, training, doing nothing, $670,000. His performance bonuses are equally staggering. $110,000 for every goal he scores, $55,000 for every assist, with both figures rising by 20% in the second year of the contract. On top of that, the club has committed to securing advertising deals with Asian companies worth an additional $83 million. Combined with his original 2022 contract, Ronaldo's total earnings at Al Nassr now exceed $1 billion. Not over a lifetime, over 3 years at one club. He is not just the highest paid footballer in history, he is arguably the highest paid athlete in the history of professional sport. But here is the detail that almost nobody talks about. Ronaldo is not just a player at Al Nassr, he is a co-owner. Reports emerged that Ronaldo has acquired a stake of between 15 and 20% in the club itself, the largest individual stake held by any single shareholder outside the PIF. And with Al Nassr set to be transferred to Riyadh Air as the new majority owner, Ronaldo's stake in this restructuring process becomes even more significant. Think about what this means strategically. If Al Nassr decide they no longer want Ronaldo as a player, they are not simply releasing a contract. They are negotiating against a man who owns a piece of the business, a man who has financial interest in the club's valuation, its future commercial deals, and its long-term brand value. You don't fire a shareholder. You don't release a co-owner like he is just another aging striker on the bench. The moment he walks out, the asset he co-owns loses a significant portion of its value, and that affects his own portfolio as much as theirs. Ronaldo and Al Nassr are not just club and player anymore. They are financially intertwined in a way that makes separation almost structurally impossible. The other argument people use to justify Ronaldo's departure is simple. He is 40 years old. His legs will give out. The goals will dry up. Better to sell the idea now before the product expires. But the numbers refuse to cooperate with that narrative. In 148 appearances for Al Nassr, Ronaldo scored 129 goals, a rate of nearly 1 goal per game. He won back-to-back Saudi Pro League Golden Boot Awards, scoring 35 goals in his first full season and 25 in the second. And in the 2025-26 season, which his strike temporarily interrupted, he came back and scored 2 goals in his first game back, sending Al Nassr straight back to the top of the table. He became the first player in the history of football to score 100 or more goals for 5 different clubs, a record so extraordinary that it may never be broken. And the 2025-26 season is shaping up to be the biggest of his Al Nassr career. With 2 games remaining, the club sits 5 points clear at the top of the Saudi Pro League, on the verge of clinching their first title since Ronaldo's arrival. A title that would silence every critic who said the move to Saudi Arabia was the end of his competitive story. At his current goal-scoring pace in the 2025-26 season, analysts have calculated that Ronaldo could reach the landmark of 1,000 career goals by December 2026. No club on the planet walks away from a 40-year-old scoring at that rate. No sponsorship package gets rebuilt around a replacement player who doesn't yet exist, and no jersey sells itself based on the idea that Ronaldo used to wear it. The machine is still running, and Al Nassr cannot afford to switch it off. Here is the dimension of this story that almost nobody in sports media bothers to explain. This was never purely about football. Saudi Arabia is in the middle of the most aggressive national rebranding exercise in modern history, Vision 2030, a program designed to reduce the country's dependence on oil revenue, build global tourism, attract foreign investment, and position the kingdom as a world-class destination for business, culture, and sport. Let's be brutally honest and map out exactly what happens the moment Ronaldo's time at Al Nassr ends. The 1.2 million jerseys sold worldwide in one season. How many sell in the following season with a different name on the back? Half? A quarter? The social media following, carefully built on the foundation of one face and one name, does it hold? Does the average fan in Manila or São Paulo stay subscribed to Al Nassr's Instagram because they fell in love with the club's historic legacy? Or were they there because of number 7, the sponsorship portfolio, the KAFED Platinum deal, the Adidas kit partnership, the BMW deal, the Gulf International Bank arrangement? Every one of those was negotiated while Ronaldo was the face of the club. Every single renewal conversation will start from a weaker position without him. The broadcasting agreements covering 130 countries. Those were not built on the appeal of the Saudi Pro League's tactical quality. They were built on the guarantee that Cristiano Ronaldo would appear on their screens, and the ownership stake. Ronaldo holding up to 20% of a club that has just lost its single greatest source of commercial value. The asset he co-owns is worth significantly less the day he stops playing in it. So here is the final picture. A 40-year-old footballer went on strike against a sovereign wealth fund, and the sovereign wealth fund blinked. Not because they were weak, not because they lacked leverage, but because the mathematics of the situation were impossible to argue with. Ronaldo is not simply their best player, he is their global brand identity. He is a co-owner of the club. He holds a 20% stake in an asset that depends on his presence to maintain its value. He is the single most important factor in a sponsorship empire, worth over $100 million a season. He is a living, breathing cornerstone of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 soft power strategy. Clubs all over the world have faced this question before. What do you do when one player becomes bigger than the institution? Usually they sell, they reset, they rebuild. Al Nassr cannot do that because they didn't just sign Cristiano Ronaldo. They built their entire future around him. And that future does not have a plan B. He will stay until 2027. He may stay beyond that. And when the day finally comes that he walks away, Al Nassr will face the hardest question any club has ever had to answer. How do you replace a man who was never just a player? If you made it to the end of this video, drop a comment below. Do you think Ronaldo finishes his career at Al Nassr, or is there one final move left in him? Subscribe for more stories that go deeper than the headlines. We'll see you in the next one.